Welcome to the new layout. As you can see, there is absolutely nothing here. This is the space I've got. So it's enough to build a 10-foot layout if I wanted to, but I'm going to build it at probably 9 foot. Tail chaser layout this time. Got all my wood, I've got plenty of this. All the boards that I need. So I just need a plan. That's the problem, you know. So at the moment I'm looking at lots of old layout plans that I've done in the past, and I want something for myself so I can enjoy the models I've got, get them out, get them running, enjoy building this new layout, take my time, and I have a couple of other projects going at the same time. So, but that's whether I've got time, because you know, so I'll have to see on that. So, but yeah, this is it. I'm going to get the tables ready and the desks and start to sort of give it a bit of a plan. So, see you shortly. Okay, so that is the sort of the plan. Seems fairly simple, but we're going to have a dock seat here. Got a bit of a river and a dock here. Have some industrial units, some loading crane here. Might have some extra points coming across and down to here. There'll be a road running along this front there, and so that's the lower level, which is the dock level, and then I want to put an upper level on a viaduct with the station here, and so it's from passenger trains just running around sort of thing. So I don't know if I can get it to work as an auto stop or anything like that. So, but that's the sort of the plan. So the first thing to do is just get this baseboards built for the main layout, get that tested, and then I'll work on the upper deck. Right, I've got all my track, and I'm going to be using all Pico track. So for the curves, I'm just going to use Pico set track. Saves me sort of messing any radiuses up. So I'm going to be using second and third radius because I haven't got a huge amount of space to use third and fourth. All the points are all going to be electro frog where I can. I do have a Y point there that's universal, and the crossovers I couldn't find any electro frog in code 100, so I want to make it all code 100 for the simple reason is I can run newer and older models all on this, and it sort of is a little bit more easier if you were transporting as well. So now it's just getting that plan onto the board. Right, I have all the boards made. I haven't put the second clamp on. I want to put the other clamp on the top here, but I need to know where my viaduct's going to go for the second layer. As you can see, I've got a great big opening at the back. That is not going to be visible. Scenic brake will be here, going all the way along. So roughly just over half the rails aren't really going to be that visible, but I just need to just make sure I've got a nice perfect flat. So I did, when I was making all these boards, I got the circular saw and just took a very small piece off, but I think I just took such a small piece, the blade wasn't quite perfect. I got it as straight as I can, but now I've ended up with a little bit of a gap on all the boards due to that, trying to make sure that everything was as flat as possible. But it shouldn't be too bad, you know. So, and I think once I've got that sanded down, you won't really notice it. So, I've also used this time these legs. And these are all from IKEA. It's like, and I've just used the plates that come with them. They're work out at £2.50 each, and you've got an adjustment on the bottom, so you can just you can buy the fully adjustable legs, and they're I think £7.50 each, so they're quite expensive. So the actual main layout itself is 8 foot, and be wanting to, oh sorry about the noise, I just knocked the bit of wood over there, and I am going to be putting just another 2 foot, could even go to 3 foot, but I don't want to make it any bigger than exactly 10 foot, and there is a reason for that. So I just need to put another 6 inches on there, so then the scenic break comes all the way along, and it'll look like the main layout goes around there, and then some sidings comes into attraction maintenance. And you'll probably notice I've got this soundproofing, well it's actually insulation for underfloor, and it's really thin, so it's about the same thickness as a sleeper, something like that. So I'm not sure whether to use this as like a sound deadening. I've used cork in the past, and once you've glued that down and then ballasted it, I've found it's actually made absolute zero difference. So I'm going to do a bit of a test on this, because I normally like to put my track directly on the board, just find it easier that way. But obviously you do generate some noise and it will go through the board. So I'm just thinking I'm going to make a test section up and just see what the difference is by running it on both, and then I'll need to cut that to where the rails are. It just means it's going to be a little bit higher than the road that would be in front of it, so I'm not sure yet. So I've got that decision to make. I know there's people have mentioned this in the past, you should put it on some cork, but I've never been happy with cork, so let's just test this. Right, I've got a couple of pieces of track, and I know it's not fixed down, so it's not quite as so I'd just test it with a loco as well. Just that on right. Well, let me just get all the boards prepared. Right, I've got all my track down how I want it for this front piece, for the good section, and obviously I've got it all nicely painted grey, and then I've started to draw all over it, but this will be where the river comes down. And just going to be a bridge over there to the warehouses, and the main sort of track loop, so I'm going to need to put in just third radius is along here and round back and I'll split that off into a third yard. So there's a couple of tracks at the back there. And then I've got my dock area that's going to go from here. And same again on the other side, goes around. So we've got one nice sort of goods loop on the bottom. And the viaduct will start roughly here, sort of thing, so, and then we can have the upper deck once I've got it built. I have been having a think about this soundproofing, and I did test this out and it seemed to be really nice and nice and quiet, but obviously I need to join track at the board ends, so I'm just going to use some copper strip for that. But this is quite thick and I'm not sure if my track will end up coming up, because it's about, I'd say 3mm. And I just have a feeling that that's not suitable. So I've ordered something else. I'm going to give that a quick go, which is 1mm thick. At the moment I soldered 3 copper pieces of sleepers together to get the height, and I don't think it's going to work how I want it to. So I'm going to and also I've just stuck that down with PVA glue. Paint's okay, obviously once you've ballasted it you wouldn't see any of that, but it's so easy to just come back up. So and I think just moving around it'll just peel up the track will. So second plan for the soundproofing, I mean if I use cork, the PVA glue will soak into the cork, make it go solid, the ballast will make it go completely solid, and I'll just get the same sound. I don't know what everybody else gets when they use cork, but I've used that in the past and it's not actually giving me any difference. That's why I tend to just stick it straight on the board. But this time I want it a little bit quieter, but it just means it's going to make it more difficult joining all the tracks on the board. So I've only got 2 tracks this side and 2 tracks that side, but also I'm going to have the viaduct and then 2 tracks at the back. So I've got some stuff on order, so I'm going to get that done, but while I'm waiting for that I'm going to just get these, let me just get, I'm going to get the holes drilled for all the points, motors. I've prepared all the points, I've soldered these joints up there, broke the connection, so, and then used the extra wire to switch, which will be on the point motor itself, to switch that across, so that'll switch the polarity of the frog. And then I've just got to wire these up to the main DCC bus. So I'm going to mark in the centres for all the points and get those drilled. So that's my holes drilled. I've just used 13mm for these, and I just marked the centre out just using a track pin, and then just to make sure I knew exactly where that hole was that I had just hammered in at, I just drew round the actual point, so I knew that that mark that I'd made was the one where I need to drill. But let's just see if I can drop this in place without all the fish plates coming off. They should all line up nicely. Yeah, every one of those lines up, so that's good. Don't have to do any excess drilling of any holes. It's not too bad anyway, because even if I got a hole slightly out, I could make it slightly bigger, and as I'm going to cover it in insulation. But because they're in the centre of the point motor, it's actually much better than the end gauge ones where you actually use the end part. Right, time to get the tracks down. And I've having a bit of a debate how I was going to do this, whether I'm going to mount them on the board or not. And I just decided that the underlay that I'd got, that worked really nice and was very quiet, but it's virtually impossible to get stuck down. I used spray adhesive and that didn't work. PVA glue, it just peeled straight off. The other sound deadening that I got didn't really seem to be that much better than just the board itself. So, and also trying to join the tracks on the board as it comes across, it would have been a nightmare. So I've got these couple of strips for helping me doing these, and I've got some more, and it's actually really cheap. So, and it's exactly the same size, there we go, same size as a sleeper, same width, same height. So I just need to cut these to size, glue them down, and then I can solder them up, and then I will need to cut them in the middle and then put a piece of insulation in there. So I'm going to get those stuck down now. Right, I've got those in, they're all glued in place. As you can see, I've done them exactly the same spacing as the sleepers, so I've just got to remove those off the tracks. Decided to do a double this time, and as I go over a joint on the diagonal, we're sort of left with a sleeper gap there, so I thought just putting half of one in there should give it a really good sort of a really good joint, and what I have done is split the board, just go through all of these just through the razor saw, just to make sure that we've got no shorts, and then just to make sure that 100% I sort of just make sure that we've got no, just make sure that that's working. Yeah, so just to make sure that we've got no short circuits throughout before I fix them. I actually took quite a long time to cut through this. As you can see, I've scratched some of the board, so I'm going to just drop a bit of paint on there, a bit of grey paint, just so when I glue the tracks down, it doesn't glue it straight to the wood, and it's very difficult to get off. While it's on the paint, I can then just wet the PVA glue and peel it all off, nice and easy. Right, about time to get these tracks section glued to the board. And I just want to make sure that I've got, it's not any problems, you know, before I actually glue them down. I'm going to fix it at this point. So I'm just using some PVA glue. I always like to use PVA, sticking my tracks down, as you probably know. And when I was painting the bits where I scratched, it got more paint than I needed, so I just painted it extra where I was going to put all the tracks. So I'm just going to get some all the way along the layout. just give it a brush. And then I'll get my tracks down. Right, I just need to get these moved across again. Make sure I've got them in the right place. On the board for the points, so that's good. I've forgotten about this piece here, the PVA glue. So I've got my brush. Plenty on it. And I just want to make sure I've got all the joints. Now I'm gluing it down, all perfect. And I'm going to just double check all these points are sitting, if they're sitting out directly over the holes. Looks like it. I'm just going to add the extra piece of the track in and then weight it down and let it dry. Well, the PVA glue's almost dry, so I think it's time to get these soldered up. I did think I put a bit too much PVA glue on in a couple of places, well, more than a couple of places I think. So I'm going to just get these soldered. The iron on highest temperature. Copper's really taking away the heat. Blobbing up a little bit. That'll be okay. And tidy it up and it will get painted, so it will form part of the sleeper. Right, I'm going to carry on getting all the joints soldered up. Right, that's all them nicely soldered. So I've done all both sides. Now I just need to and just cut the tracks so I can separate the boards. So I'm just using my nice little razor saw for that, and I'm going to just do this off camera because the camera's in the way at the moment. So that's all gone through nice and neat. Just make sure I've got a nice straight cut. Just use a block of wood initially, get it started, and then I can carry on. So got both those cut. Hopefully they've gone all the way through. So I'm just going to check. boards, and yeah, get a nice clean joint and a very tidy joint using the razor saw. Right, I've got all the DCC circuit all set up now, so let's see what we have. Okay, there we have the end of week one, and train's running. I've still got a lot more wiring to finish off, get it all tidy, get the boards joined together properly, and also I haven't got any of the point motors in, so the frog switches that I've got are actually just wired straight to the bus. So I can't switch any of these points yet because it will just short the layout out. Well, don't short it out, it'll just go dead, you know, because it's wired wrong. So, but it seems to be okay at the moment. There will be the doxing going in here. I'm going to have sort of a bit more of a doxing warehouse there. I can have this as a shuttle system as well, just like sort of the Ealing Road model did. And I've also got the upper deck to make. And I was thinking about a traction maintenance depot, but I'm not 100% sure that's the right way, because I don't think I'm going to have enough space in this sort of a 3/4 section. I think I prefer to go into more like a fiddly yard for shunting and things like that. So, but that's yet to be decided. I mean, whether I chose the right decision and not to put any sound insulation on the board and just put the track directly on the board is another matter. But at the moment, this seems to be okay. It seems quite a simplish layout with 4 points for such a big area, but it's not going to end up quite as simple as that. I didn't even think could I be able to get a circuit that goes around here and onto the, so I join both the levels together, but well, let's wait and see. But anyway, I wish you a really good evening and a good rest of the day, and hopefully I'll see you again on the next one. Please drop me some comments in to just give me some guidance, and really, I know where I'm going, but sometimes it's just good to have a little bit of advice. So thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.